I'm not gonna lie, I like Metal Gear Solid 3 a lot. A lot. A lot. Metal Gear Solid 3 is arguably one of the best games in history, at least to me, for a multitude of reasons. As a kid, I loved this game because of the level design. The concept of an open sandbox allowing you to traverse from beginning to end in whatever way you wanted was mind-blowing to me. Going from, stupid baby-ass Mario Brothers to, was freaking awesome. However, like a stupid kid, I was unable to connect with the complex story and narrative themes Snake Eater tackles. Probably because I was 12, I don't know. However, as an adult, I grew to understand and appreciate the story of Snake Eater. Each character leaves an impact on the player in their own way. Especially my favorite character of the entire franchise, Naked Snake. See, Jack is one of the most interesting video game characters to me, specifically due in part to his portrayal. Up until Metal Gear Solid 3's release, Big Boss was portrayed as this overarching big bad. This villain that was behind most, if not all, the conflict that plagued the series. Outside of the original Metal Gear, the most we knew of Big Boss at the time was through word of mouth and retelling of his cruel actions against the world. The fanbase, during this period, had a loose perception of the kind of person Big Boss was. Metal Gear Solid 3 decided to throw a wrench into that perception, having us play as the man who would become Big Boss, that being Naked Snake. Snake Eater explores this transformation, but not in a straightforward manner, instead providing us with several different interactions between Snake and the other characters that fuel his transformation. However, none fuel this transformation more than the boss. Snake and Boss's relationship is something that is explored throughout the events of Snake Eater. From the bits and pieces we learn through cutscenes and codec calls, the player grows to understand that a certain bond exists between the two of them. We know they lived and trained together over the course of 10 years, learning and developing a new combat style known as CQC. We know that the boss was Snake's mentor, teaching him everything he knows regarding solo infiltration, survival, and extraction. Boss ultimately crafted Snake into the perfect ideal soldier, and when the boss felt as if she had imparted everything she could onto Snake, she left. You can tell this affects Snake due to the fact that at the start of the game, when they reunite over codec calls, he's kept track of how long they've been apart, down to the second.
Jack, is that you? How many years has it been?
Boss?
That's right. It's me. Talk to me. Let me hear your voice.
It's been 5 years, 72 days, and 18 hours.
You've lost weight.
You can tell just by the sound of my voice.
Of course I can. I know all about you.
It's through this interaction that a strong bond is established between the two. They aren't simply lovers, as this closeness and connection can be interpreted as both admiration towards both a mother figure and a mentor, and as two halves separated, their time spent together imprinting on one another. In fact, the way Snake talks about the boss later in the game implies that he may view her as an extension of himself.
She was like a mother, and my master.
And your lover?
It went deeper than that.
Deeper?
Half of me belongs to the boss.
With all this in mind, it hurts so much more when you learn of Snake's goal throughout Snake Eater. Initially, Snake is tasked with capturing a Soviet scientist known as Sokolov, who is looking to defect during the height of the Cold War. This mission, dubbed the Virtuous Mission, allows us to understand Snake's character through both dialogue and visual presentation. From the start, Snake is portrayed as a bit arrogant, the cigar scene being a clear indicator of that behavior. He's tactical and very mission-focused, as stated early to the boss in the prologue. Snake cares solely about completing his mission, as he respects the country he fights for and will seemingly do what is asked of him without much resistance. To him, it's part of the job. However, alongside the boss and Snake's reunion comes the challenge of Snake's own viewpoint by his very mentor, that being who your loyalty should belong to. What does it mean to be loyal to your country? Can you be loyal to your country or to me? At this point in time, many players may side with Snake or the boss depending on your understanding of her words. I was of the former. Like Snake, I too was determined to beat this game by whatever means necessary. However, even with that goal in mind, the boss's words still lingered. Snake goes on to complete his mission and make contact with Sokolov, yet right before they're home free, the boss stands there.
Boss, what is this?
I'm defecting to the Soviet Union. Sokolov is a little gift from my new hosts.
This betrayal is what I believe sparks a change in Snake's character. From the moment those words leave Boss's mouth, Snake is experiencing shame, confusion, and terror. And those feelings are not one-sided, as the boss is guilt-ridden as well, symbolized by the pain expressions that follow every decree of her deception. Oh, and probably the fact that she breaks his arm and his ribs and throws him over a bridge. But all of this serves to reiterate the fact that, at this point in time, these two halves of a whole will never go back. It's in this betrayal that the following events of the game can be recontextualized. Snake's goal isn't just to save the world from the first Metal Gear prototype, but to kill the boss, to ultimately choose between her or his country. I think this for two main reasons. The first is an interesting tidbit you can discover shortly after Boss's betrayal. After the events of the prologue, Snake will return with a new addition to his crew, Sigint. Sigint's role is to provide information on the types of equipment Snake encounters throughout Snake Eater. However, sometimes he'll drop history on certain events and characters Snake will experience, including the Cobra unit. It's during this codec call that we learn that each member represents an emotion one would carry into battle: pain, fear, end, fury, sorrow, and joy. I'd argue that the Cobra unit's names not only embodies battle emotions, but also the emotions of Snake, as he comes to terms with the fact that at the end of this, he will have to kill his former mentor. The pain could represent both the physical and mental pain Snake experiences trying to understand the boss's betrayal. The fear could act as the intimidation Snake feels each time he and the boss encounter each other, or perhaps the fear he feels, debating if he could truly kill her. The fury could represent Snake's burning anger towards the boss, the Cold War conflict, and the situation he's been put in. The end could represent the slow acceptance of Snake and boss's final confrontation at the end of the game. As for the sorrow, I'd argue he's not only meant to represent the death and negativity that war brings, but also act as an embodiment of Snake's grief over boss's death, the hardest emotion for him to get over. Hence why you face the sorrow the last out of the entire Cobra unit. Through the defeat of each Cobra member, Snake is working through his internal struggle regarding the boss. As for the second piece of evidence, I'd like to call attention to the CQC encounters throughout the game. Each time Snake and the boss meet, they engage in physical battle using a technique they both created. From the start, Snake is overpowered by the boss time and time again, and you may think it's due to the fact that she's physically stronger than him, when, in reality, those losses could be representative of the fact that Snake is afraid to fight her, that mental block not allowing him to do what needs to be done. Even the boss comments on this reluctance after seeing the bandana Snake holds onto, a symbol of Snake being unable to let go of the past.
Just look at that bandana. If you can't put the past behind you, you won't survive long.
With every encounter following this, Snake grows both in body and mind. Each fight, Snake gains the upper hand just a little, outmaneuvering the boss more and more. This culminates in the final encounter between these two. Snake, at this point, matches the boss in these CQC fights. They fight not as soldiers on opposite sides, not as enemies, but as student and mentor, mother and son. Regardless of the outcome, one person will walk away alive. Only one will carry on the name of Boss. This final encounter was the hardest for me. I loved the boss. Every moment she was on screen was nothing but wisdom and respect. She was feared and she was fearless. Each time Snake won a fight and I watched her stamina bar go down, it just hurt. Each time Snake was praised for winning, it hurt even more. These moments are where I think Boss's Cobra name, The Joy, finally made sense to me. The boss herself accepted her fate long before Snake did. During these final moments, she can truly enjoy the fruits of her labor, the man she created. She lives and dies for battle because, as she states, it's all she's ever known. She's learned to love the environment she can't escape. At the end of this, Snake wins. Boss hands him the Patriot, asking him to end her own life. Snake holds the gun, yet we, the player, end her life. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a story in which we witness a man, a young soldier, learning to fight and grow into someone capable of putting his emotion past himself, into someone who will achieve his goal by any means necessary, but at a cost. See, at the end of the game, Boss's true motivations are revealed. Boss's defection was orchestrated by none other than the US government, the same government Snake fights for. To keep it simple, the boss's defection was initially part of a grand scheme to recover something known as the Philosopher's Legacy. To do so, she would need to defect with the help of the CIA in order to get closer to the holder of the legacy, Volgin. She brought 2 portable warheads to gain Volgin's trust. However, during this defection, Volgin would unexpectedly decide to fire one of the American warheads at a Soviet research facility. This attack framed America, making it look as though they were behind the sudden unprovoked attack against the Soviet Union. To prevent nuclear war between the 2 powers, the CIA decided to rework Boss's initial mission. Instead of recovering the legacy, she would be tasked with dying for her country to clear America's name, and Snake would be the one tasked with seeing the CIA's plan through. It's here where I feel his entire reality is shattered. The realization that the boss herself was a tool to the very government she sacrificed herself for. Snake, while praised for completing his mission, even earning the title of Big Boss, was a tool as well. He is no true patriot, nor is he a hero. The boss was, and forever will be. This truth will forever eat away at John, transforming him from the hardened soldier we meet at the start of MGS3 to a war criminal. A man motivated by desire to control his own destiny, to create an army not tied to any government, any form of manipulation or control. By the boss's words, an army to be defined by the era they exist in. But the tragedy is, he's doomed to repeat the same mistakes, to become the villain. For a man determined to stray away from any one ideology, it's tragic that he goes on to create such a persistent and damaging one.
We will forsake our countries. We will leave our motherlands behind us and become one with this earth. We have no nation, no philosophy, no ideology. We will be the deterrent for those with no other recourse. We are soldiers without borders, our purpose defined by the era we live in. If the times demand it, we'll be revolutionaries, criminals, terrorists, and yes, we may all be headed straight to hell. But what better place for us than this? It is our only home, our heaven and our hell. This is utter heaven.